The following action of the 2015 Sasol Rally is brought to you by Motorsport South Africa and its partners Toyota, Ford, Volkswagen, Dunlop and of course Sasol. There are 8 rounds in the South African National Rally Championship, but amongst these it is undoubtedly the Sasol Rally which stands out as the crown jewel. South Africa's premier rally event again took place in the areas around Nelspruit, Sabi and Graskop on the weekend of the 17th and the 18th of April. As has become familiar over the years, this 24th running of the event included a number of spectacular tarmac stages, such as the Sabi Town Square stage, White River's School stage and the signature Nelspruit Town stage affectionately known as Spaghetti Junction. But as much as these tarmac stages have become part of the Sasol Rally, so has the wet weather that often marks this event, and 2015 was no different. The weekend started cold and wet, and while the rain eased slightly on Saturday, the crews competing in round 2 of the championship had to pit themselves not only against each other, but also against extremely slippery conditions in the York Timbers plantations. To make matters even more challenging, the stages weren't consistently slippery, offering grip in some sections and understeer inducing mud in others. But then this is rallying, a sport known for its curveballs, where nothing can be taken for granted. Welcome to the Lowveld of Mpumalanga, backdrop of the 2015 Sasol Rally and scene of a dramatic event that unfolded amidst the rain and the mist. For the crews in South Africa's top rally class, S2000, the conditions may have been ever so slightly less challenging. With the benefit of 4-wheel drive, together with powerful 2-litre engines, these men and women had more tools at their disposal than their brethren in class S1600. But even so, it was anything but easy. Never mind what you drove on this year's Sasol. The defending champions in class S2000 are Leroy Poulter and navigator Elvine Kutsia, who championed the Castrol Team Toyota Yaris S2000. They won the 2014 championship with 1 round to spare, but came up against resistance from former champions Mark Cornier and Robin Houghton in their Ford Performance Fiesta S2000 when they won round 1 in Durban earlier this year. So even before the flag dropped in Sabi, it was clear that this rally was to be another duel between Poulter and Cornier, as it was on round 1. But Cornier had the upper hand from the get-go and led the event from start to finish. Poulter managed to restrict Cornier's lead to 29.5 seconds overnight, but on day 2 Cornier not only pulled further away, but Poulter ran into sideshaft trouble with 3 stages to go. This made it easy for Cornier, while behind Poulter a battle raged for 3rd overall. Initially, it seemed as if Sasol Volkswagen's Henk Latergan would peg 3rd, but then an unfortunate racing accident on stage 8 took both Latergan and the NAD Ford crew of Jathi van Niekerk and Gordon Noble out of the running, allowing Castrol Team Toyota's Janil de Villiers to move up into 3rd place. He maintained this position throughout the day, but sadly the engine in his Toyota Yaris let go just 25 kilometers from the end of the event, which meant that Sasol Volkswagen's Gugu Zulu, with navigator Pierre Aris beside him, achieved his first podium finish in class S2000. With the spoils split between Ford, Toyota and Volkswagen, it's somewhat ironic that not everyone was happy as the mud settled after the Sasol Rally. But then again, this is rallying, and it isn't for sissies. But that was how things played out in class S2000. One step down from the 4-wheel drive machines in the class are the men and women who campaign in class S1600, South Africa's premier rally class for front-wheel drive machines with engines of 1600cc. This is a highly competitive class of racing, with a plethora of fast crews competing for the spoils. Last year it was Guy Bottrell and Simon Vasey Lyle who walked the championship in their locally built Yato Toyota Etios. But so far this year they've found the going tough. managing only a third place on round one. That event was won by Paul Franken and Henry Kern in their Manitou-supported Volkswagen Polo, with Fragram-supported Matthew Vasey-Lyle and Skalk van Heerden coming home second. So it was evident right from the start that Bottrell would have to fight back on the Sasol. But would he be able to do that, especially in these testing conditions?
We're here at the Sasol. The conditions are a bit testing. I'm quite sure the race is going to be won by the guy that gets the least amount of hassles, punctures and broken cars. So we're just going to maybe play it a bit easy and just see where day two positions us.
But the young Durbanite was not to have it all his own way, and the winner of round one, Paul Franken, had shown that he was able to achieve the top step of the podium. But would he be able to make it 2 wins from 2 starts?
We had a good start to the season, so we're in the lead of the championship at this moment. Sasol was a difficult event, but we know what we have to do, and hopefully we can stay strong.
Besides the defending champion and the most recent winner, Class S1600 also sports a number of other very fast and capable crews. Chad van Beurden in the Gemsport Volkswagen Polo is certainly capable of winning rallies, while Ashley Haig-Smith in the AHS Ford Fiesta R2 has proven himself as one of the fastest drivers in the lineup. Another exceptional talent is that of Richard Leek, who pilots the ATS Ford Fiesta, while Matthew Vasey-Lyle in the Fragram Toyota Etios showed his mettle by coming second on round one. But all of that is in the past, or theoretical at best. And this is the Sasol Rally, a mad dash through the plantations of York Timbers and MTO, made even tougher by extremely challenging conditions. And stage one was a firm test for the crews, as they had to brave the 14.5-kilometre stage known as Olifantsgeraamte just outside the town of Sabi. With the pressure fully on, it came as no surprise that the fastest crew through the tricky stage was last year's champions Guy Bottrell and Simon Vasey-Lyle in the Yato Toyota Etios. Their time of 11:47.1 was 2.5 seconds quicker than the time posted by Chad van Beurden and Nico Swartz in the Gemsport Volkswagen Polo. So not quite the cracking start Bottrell had become accustomed to, but certainly better than lagging by the same margin. Next quickest was youngster AC Potgieter, with Tommy de Toy beside him in their Volkswagen Polo, with Matthew Vasey-Lyle and Skalk van Heerden in the Fragram Toyota Etios posting the 4th quickest time. Richard Leek and Rikus Fourie came through next fastest in their ATS-supported Ford Fiesta, while Paulus Franken and Henry Kern in the Manitou VW Polo posted a time some 55 seconds slower than the early leaders. Championship hopeful Ashley Haig-Smith and navigator Damien van As was an early victim of the Sasol Rally, as their AHS Ford Fiesta's engine let go just a short distance into the stage. For the surviving crews, it was onwards with the event, starting with a quick stop at the Dunlop Service Park, just to sort out the early niggles and nerves. This was followed by the first running of the stage known as Grootfontein, a 29.2-kilometre long gravel plantation section, which at this point served as stage 2 of the rally. For Guy Bottrell, it was a great opportunity to extend his slender lead, but fate intervened and dealt the defending champion a bum hand. A mechanical failure of a side shaft on the open section between the service park and the start of stage 2 took him completely out of the running, and dealing the hope of a second consecutive championship a crushing blow.
Yes, unfortunately going to stage 2 in the open section, we had something fail in the gearbox. We think it's a diff, but we're not quite sure, but it's put us out of day 1. We're going to try and get it fixed for Super Rally tomorrow, but we're not quite sure what's wrong at the moment.
This opened the door for second place Chad van Beurden to turn up the wick, which is exactly what he did by posting the quickest time on stage 2. He was followed 50 seconds later by Marco Himmel and Francois Schoenby in their Volkswagen Polo. AC Potgieter was another 30 seconds back, with Richard Leek following 5 seconds behind him. They were followed by Matthew Vasey-Lyle, Paul Franken and Andrew Hain. Stage 3 came next, a 24.2-kilometre long stage known as Driekop, which promised another mad dash through a muddy York Timbers plantation. Having taken over the lead after the demise of Bottrell, all attention turned to Van Beurden and Swartz in their Gem Sport VW Polo. Their time on stage 3 was 21:33.3, just shy of a minute slower than the time posted by Franken and Kern in the Manitou Polo. Van Beurden had a massive spin, which took time to recover, allowing Franken to make up for time lost on the first two stages. AC Potgieter posted yet another good stage time and moved up into second place as a result. He pipped Matthew Vasey-Lyle by 17 seconds, but then the latter had two spins and lost nearly a minute recovering from those. The rest of the Class S1600 field were either limping through the mud or spectating from the sidelines. So, after the first three muddy and misty stages, it was the name of Chad van Beurden that topped the standings. He had a lead of 1:16 over Potgieter, who in turn had Franken just 10 seconds behind him. Vasey-Lyle followed next, with him already more than 5 minutes behind after a torrid start. After another visit to the Dunlop Service Park, it was time to tackle the same two stages from the morning again. This time, York Timbers Grootfontein served as stage 4 of the rally. But if anything, the conditions had worsened during the day. By now, it had become clear that Franken was determined to catch Van Beurden, and on stage 4, that's exactly what he set out to do. The young Cape Townian's time was 26 minutes 42.2, some 5.2 seconds quicker than the time posted by Van Beurden. Faster, sure, but not enough to make any real inroads in Van Beurden's lead. AC Potgieter showed his tenacity by again posting a great stage time, this time the third quickest of the stage, but not quite enough to hold on to second place overall. Matthew Vasey-Lyle posted the fourth fastest time, with Richard Leek in the ATS Fiesta featuring as the last real runner in the field, though his time was more than a minute down of that of the stage winner. The field moved on to stage 5 next, which was an exact repeat of York Timbers' Driekop 24.2 kilometre of twisty gravel with a healthy serving of mud and mist thrown into the mix. Van Beurden was still comfortably in the lead of the rally, but even so he posted a blistering time on stage 5. He went a full 50 seconds faster than the next quickest man, which in this case turned out to be none other than Richard Leek in the ATS Fiesta. Paul Franken followed some 8 seconds behind Leek, with Matthew Vasey-Lyle another 13 seconds back. Young AC Potgieter lost more than 1.5 minutes on this stage after running wide in a hairpin and getting stuck, though he still managed to retain third place overall. With stage 5 done and dusted, though there wasn't much of that in the air, the day's gravel stages came to an end. With just 2 short tarmac stages to follow, it was still the name of Chad van Beurden at the top of the leaderboard. Paul Franken had moved up into second place, though Van Beurden's lead had grown to over 2 minutes. AC Potgieter was now in third with a healthy gap to Vasey-Lyle, who had fourth place. Himmel rounded out the top 5. With the day's stages behind them, it was time for the crews to return to the Dunlop Service Park in Sabi before heading out for 2 consecutive tarmac stages. The famous Sabi town stage came next, but at 0.9 kilometres in length, it didn't offer much opportunity for crews to make up time. Stage 7, which came after, featured an identical length, but was run in the nearby town of White River. Paul Franken won stage 6, with Vasey-Lyle and Leek breathing up his tailpipes. The winning margin was 0.1 of a second. Stage 7 was won by Vasey-Lyle, with Leek and Van Beurden posting the second and third quickest times, but again the margins were negligible. And so the positions and gaps remained largely the same, and by the time the tired crews finally shut off their rally machines for the day, Van Beurden and Swartz led Franken and Kern by 2 minutes 13 seconds. Vasey-Lyle and Van Beurden were 3 minutes 46 off the lead, with Potgieter and de Tooy 2 minutes behind. Leek and Fourie moved up into the top 5, although they were more than 25 minutes behind the leader at this point. Stage 8 was the first stage of day 2 and consisted of the signature Spaghetti Junction stage in downtown Nelspruit. The stage was cancelled, however, after the collision between Henk Lateghan in the Sasol Volkswagen and Japie van Niekerk in the NAD Ford. So on to stage 9 they went, a 1.5 kilometre long tarmac stage at the Mbombela Stadium near Nelspruit. As with the other tarmac stages on the event, The Mbombela stage offered little in terms of changes, and while Richard Leek won the stage in his ATS Ford, his time was just 0.8 of a second faster than that of Chad van Beerden. Guy Bottrell, now competing under Super Rally regulations, posted the next fastest time, followed by Vasey Lyle, Franken and Potgieter. By now, the Nelspruit Super Special had been cleared of wreckage and the crews made the way back to Spaghetti Junction for stage 10 of the Sasol Rally. At 1.4 kilometres in length, the Nelspruit Super may not be very long, but it is certainly a great spectacle for the crowd, who again turned out in numbers despite the damp start to the day. For Guy Bottrell, stage 10 was a chance to show what he's capable of if things go right. And that's exactly what he did by going 0.6 seconds quicker than AC Potgieter, who was the second fastest man on the stage. Andrew Hayne followed some 2 seconds slower, with Franken another second behind. Leek all but matched Franken's time, with Van Beerden taking a more cautious approach despite his tarmac experience as a former track racer. With the morning's tarmac stages now done, the crews were given a moment in the Dunlop service park to compose themselves and their machines before heading off into the forests once more. First of the day's gravel stages was Spring Farm, an 11.1 kilometre long charge through one of MTO's plantations. By now it was clear that young Richard Leek, with navigator Rikus Fourie beside him, was hitting his stride. While he couldn't quite match the time set by Guy Bottrell, who was super rallying on day 2, Leek posted a time of 8 minutes 52.6, 3 seconds faster than AC Potgieter, but more importantly, nearly 9 seconds up on Franken. The young Ford driver was making progress, though it would take more than that to move from 5th to 4th overall. Van Beerden ran into difficulties on this stage, losing time in the process, but managing to nurse his Gemsport Volkswagen through nonetheless. But for Van Beerden, there was more worry to follow. Stage 12 came next without the benefit of service and was 26.7 kilometres in length. This meant a long way to hold things together, but in the end he managed to get through unscathed, although he lost more time in the process. AC Potgieter again went fastest of the regular runners on the stage, with Leek just 11 seconds behind him. Marco Himmel posted the third fastest time, with Andrew Hayne in the Hayne Sport Volkswagen next quickest. Van Beerden, Vasey Lyle and Franken completed the lineup. With 12 of the Sasol Rally's 15 stages completed, it was still Van Beerden who had the lead, with Franken and Vasey Lyle behind him. Potgieter and Leek completed the top 5. The crews were afforded a quick visit to the Dunlop service park before tackling the last loop of stages. We caught up with rally leader Van Beerden before he set off on stage 13.
2 more stages, yeah. We've fixed the brakes and we've strengthened the gear lever. So, you know, we've got 2 minutes lead. We're just going to try and conserve that.
Stage 13, known as Spitskop to Hendriksdal, came next. At 13.4 kilometres in length, it may not have been the longest stage on this year's rally, but it was certainly one of York Timber's most spectacular plantations. Guy Bottrell again went fastest of all, though it was Marco Himmel who posted the quickest time among the regular runners. He was followed through by AC Potgieter in a similar machine, with Richard Leek just 3 seconds slower in the ATS Ford Fiesta. Andrew Hayne also put in another good stage time in the Hayne Sport Polo, with Matthew Vasey Lyle in the Fragram Toyota Etios following a single second later, despite some gearbox problems. The 2 leaders, Van Beerden and Franken, both clearly decided to tap off just a bit, as their positions were all but decided anyway. With stage 13 done, the action moved to the second running of Hendriksdal to Magsley. All that stood between Van Beerden and a win was the 26.7 kilometres of gravel that made up stage 14, and a quick romp around the showgrounds in Nelspruit. The would-be winner posted a time of 20 minutes 59 on the stage, nearly 48 seconds slower than the time posted by AC Potgieter, but then it hardly mattered at this point. Richard Leek posted another quick time, pipping Marco Himmel by 8 seconds in the process. Andrew Hayne and Paul Franken also managed to post competitive times, with Vasey Lyle losing nearly a minute to Potgieter with more gearbox issues, yet managing to retain his third place overall. The final stage of the 2015 Sasol rally was again the short, sharp showground stage in Nelspruit, but at only 600 metres in length, it was a mere formality. And with that formality taken care of, it was Chad van Beurden who took a much-deserved victory. He was followed home by the winner of the previous round, Paul Franken, with Matthew Vasey Lyle, who came second last time out, taking third on the Sasol. AC Potgieter and Richard Leek completed the top 5. But for Chad van Beurden, the champagne must have tasted extra sweet after spraying it from the top step of the podium. Winning the Sasol is never easy. Doing so in conditions as tough as those experienced this year, however, even tougher.
We are really happy. Hard event just to finish and to do it on the top of the podium. Yeah, we're very happy.
Paul Franken made it 2 podiums from 2 races, though he had to sacrifice the top step this time round. Still, his second place on the Sasol means he retains his lead in the Class S1600 Championship.
Sasol Rally was a difficult one. We put a lot of challenges forward, but we managed to stay out of trouble and very happy with our result second. We're still leading the championship, so just continue getting results like it.
For the men and women who compete in this class, the next round of the championship is the Secunda Motor Rally, which takes place on the 15th and 16th of May. But since the Sasol Rally was a round of the FIA's Africa Championship, there was another group of cars in the mix. This meant that fans again entertained by the turbo-popping sounds of a few Subaru Imprezas and Mitsubishi Lancers, cars that we seldom see rallying in South Africa these days. The crews that take part in the Africa Championship, however, aren't used to rallying in conditions like those encountered on this year's Sasol, and as a result, they started with caution. Fastest of these drivers on the opening stage was Jassie Singh and the Dirt Star Racing Team Subaru Impreza, with Jasprit Chatty in the Team Kibos Mitsubishi Evo just 2 seconds behind him. Muna Singh in the second Dirt Star Racing Subaru was nearly 1 minute off the pace at this point. Interestingly, their stage times were on average 30 seconds slower than those posted by our own Class S1600 crews, despite the local lads having only front-wheel drive and significantly less power. On stage 2, it was Chatty who pipped Jassie Singh by the smallest of margins, with Muna Singh losing more time to the 2 front-runners. And this was the pattern for most of the event. Chatty going just ever so slightly faster than Jassie Singh, with Muna Singh lagging behind them. The drivers from the Africa Championship clearly relished the tarmac, as all 3 of them posted times similar to our own Class S2000 cars on the Sabi Town stage, as well as in White River. By the end of day 1, it was Jasprit Chatty and navigator Craig Thorley who held a healthy lead of 2 minutes over Jassie Singh and his navigator Sahid Khan, with Muna Singh and Adrian Sutherland 11 minutes behind. Day 2 saw the 3 Africa Championship crews back in action in the forests of Mpumalanga. And with the weather having cleared somewhat, they were upping their pace considerably. The 2 Singhs got day 2 underway in fine style, with Jassie beating Muna comprehensively on the opening stage of the day, while Chatty lost 15 seconds to the fastest of the 2 Imprezas on this stage. This didn't seem to bother Chatty too much though, as he took 12 seconds back on the very next stage, with Muna Singh losing nearly 40 seconds to his 2 fellow competitors. By the time the last 2 gravel stages started, it was clear that Chatty wasn't going to be caught on this event. Jassie Singh lost some time on stage 13 and 14, and then it was onwards to the final stage at the showgrounds in Nelspruit. For Jassie Singh, this was the last hurrah, as he won the stage by 0.4 seconds over Chatty, with Muna Singh completing the 0.6 kilometre long stage 2 seconds slower. In the end, it was Jaspreet Chatty and navigator Craig Thorley who won the African Championship round in their Team Kibos Mitsubishi Evo X. They were followed home by Jassy Singh and navigator Saeed Khan in their Dirt Star racing team Subaru Impreza, with Muna Singh and Adrian Sutherland of the same team taking third place. For these crews, the Sasol Rally offered a sterner than usual test, but to those who completed the event, it was certainly an achievement to cherish. Sasol brought you all the action from the 2015 Sasol Rally, together with Motorsport South Africa and its partners, Toyota, Ford, Volkswagen and Dunlop.